everybody, Jesu Otaku here, and first of all, let me preface this by saying I know doing vlogs about wide-release movies is not normally, my bag, I suppose, and much less putting them up on that guy with the glasses. Usually if I do something like this off the cuff, I just sort of lay it on my channel and leave it at that. But, two things. First of all, some of you may know the Jesu Brigade, which was the site that I was originally with long before that guy with the glasses thing, has disbanded. The site is over, and so I finally kind of feel comfortable making my own website to put my own stuff on. So just to have a catalog of all my own individual things, and stuff that may not go up on Tig or whatever, and then stuff that may not be video related, whatever, just my own development site for projects and stuff like that. So I'm going to be working on making that, and I figured I could put movie review vlogs up on that, even if they don't go up on that guy with the glasses. So this will be maybe the one exception to that, unless something really fascinating happens and I put it up. Kind of like what Brad does, like he doesn't put up all of his blog stuff on that guy with the glasses unless there's something particularly interesting to say or show, or, that kind of thing. So, anyway, my point is, I have this ongoing project where I want to see every wide-release movie that comes out in the year 2012, which I've been mostly successful with. I missed a couple here and there due to just being busy or, whatever. But I can catch them on DVD because they were pretty early in the year. But for the most part, I've seen every wide-release movies come out in 2012, and I want to make, videos about them starting in May, because I don't want to go back and do videos for everything I saw in the first 4 months of the year, but starting in May. And so with that out of the way, I guess it's time to talk about Headroom. I saw a little movie, this Friday, you may have heard of it, I don't know, called The Avengers.
This is nothing we were ever trained for.
So I saw it Friday, everybody's going to see this, I obviously don't have to talk about whether you should or shouldn't see this movie, you're going to anyway, but what can I add to the dialogue that isn't already being said by everybody else out there? Well, I guess I can add, from the perspective of somebody who loved the movies, like either people are like, well, I don't really know anything about the Avengers or whatever, but I'm a film critic and I'm going to see, there's either that situation, which there's a lot of people like me too, but I'm just saying, there's maybe that situation. There's also people that are big fans of the comics and read the Avengers comics growing up and all the ones that are related to them, etc., etc. I'm coming from the perspective of somebody who loved all of the Marvel films, particularly, all of them. Particularly one half of Thor. Yeah, guess which half? The Asgard half. I guess it's a third. Was it the first third of Thor and the first Iron Man movie are my favorites among the Marvel films. Although I liked all of them. Like, I guess the weakest is the Hulk, but it's not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. I enjoyed all of those, and I love the characters as they are characterized in those films. I don't know anything about the comics, but so coming from that perspective of seeing the Avengers, you kind of have to have seen all those movies, and not necessarily liked all of them, but you kind of have to have seen all of them because the Avengers is not a standalone film, and it doesn't even pause to, like, kind of brief you on who these people are. There's no briefing of any kind whatsoever as to, it is like a direct sequel to all those other movies, and, it doesn't really need to be anything else. It's been built up for how many years? Like, I don't know, 8 years. When did the first Iron Man come out? It's been built up for forever. It can be as, inaccessible to people that aren't prepared as it wants to, because you should be prepared going into this. So, the 0.01% of you that didn't see the Marvel movies before going to see the Avengers, don't see it yet. I guess watch those other movies first. Who hasn't? But anyway, my point is, so, but this movie is everything the Avengers movie should have been. I will say, me personally, it's not my favorite kind of superhero movie. My favorite kind of superhero movie is one of two extremes. It's either like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, which you could take partially seriously, but for the most part was a camp fest, almost Power Rangers-y in places, is the really over-the-top camp fest kind of superhero movies that to me represent my familiarity with comics. which I know that there's comics that are more dramatically valid or whatever, but that was my experience with them for the most part, so that speaks to me, you know, for what I enjoyed about comics was that they were over the top and wild and wacky, or the extremely serious character study, like, film, you know, ones like Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight, which is almost not a superhero movie. It's a crime thriller that happens to have costumes in it, you know, just like, so those two extremes, and this is neither of them, it's somewhere in the middle. There's not really any dramatic, this thing is action-packed. I mean, it is, the only time there are not action scenes is when there's character interaction, but it's not exactly, particularly deep, or, it's not like the really good, really subtle stuff in the first Iron Man, or, you know, or even Captain America. Captain America had some really kind of moving and artistic aspects to it. This is just sort of characters bouncing off of each other, and it's like, well, what would a conversation between Stark and Cap be like? Because, you know, like, Stark and Cap, polar opposites in just about every way, and, you know, how would they get along, and so you get to see that, and so that's about the two aspects of this movie is absolutely fucking incredible, mind-blowing action scenes, or just sort of characters bouncing off of each other, but not in a particularly deepish way. I wish I could be, and that is in no way an insult to this movie. This movie is the pinnacle of what the Avengers film could possibly be. I can't imagine them making a better Avengers film than this. Like, I wouldn't want it to be a camp fest, that'd be insulting, and I wouldn't want it to be a serious dramatic character study, because there's just no way in hell. There's too many characters, you know, and the whole point of this is to see a big team up and see something explosive and impressive and fun. It is very fun. It's very funny, too. It's very comedic. My greatest fear was actually that it would be too Whedon-y in its comedy. Like, you know, I'm not a fan of Whedon, and Whedon's comedy tends to be everybody sounds like him, and everybody's super clever and has one-liners, and, you know, there's other things I don't like about his work, but that's one thing, and that was my greatest fear going into this movie, since he wrote the screenplay, that it's like, don't make Hulk and Cap sound like Whedon. Please, God, leave Hulk and Cap out of Whedon's writing, because, like, you know, Stark can sound like Whedon, he's Stark, and Thor is kind of exempt because of the way he speaks and the way he's characterized, but you could take his snark and sort of change it to the way Thor speaks and still be okay with it. And, you know, Loki, whatever. But I was worried about Hulk and Cap, and I was worried how they'd be characterized, and with the exception of, like, one line Hulk gets, two, I don't know, like a couple lines that Bruce Banner gets where I was like, he's being a little bit of a smartass. Like, I have nothing to complain about. This was, like, the least Whedon-y kind of movie. For those of you who don't, I mean, like, this many of you who don't like Joss Whedon, this will not bother you in any way. It's not Whedon-y at all. But it is extremely funny, and it is everything that it needed to be. I said it wasn't a serious character study, but for the characters that didn't get films, Black Widow and Hawkeye, who, you know, again, I'm uninitiated, I don't know who those people are, but I felt like I knew them by the end of this movie, and I liked them too. Like, Black Widow is actually the kind of character who it would be easy for me to be mad at, despite the fact she is played by Scarlett Johansson, and I really like Scarlett Johansson. I don't think she's the greatest actress, I just kind of like watching her. I think she's very pretty. I'm just gonna like, oh, she's really pretty. I fall to that, you know, weakness, I suppose. It's like, oh, I wish I could be as pretty as Scarlett Johansson and just look at her and how graceful she is, you know. I enjoy watching it. It's the same thing. I have a similar thing with Kate Beckinsale, although I admire Kate Beckinsale's range slightly more. Not really. Not that they got the same acting range, whatever. But I'm like, you know, you're alright by me, girl. Is kind of my thought. But point is, like, the character Black Widow is actually somebody I'd be a little bit kind of mad at. It's the, like, a strong female is cold-hearted and perfect and has no room for emotions, except when a man is involved, and that's kind of the typical thing. And Black Widow's not like that. I was a little worried, because I'd seen the chair scene, and, like, you know, she uses her sexuality as a weapon. She's a strong woman, you know, and I was like, is that Black Widow? No. She's actually quite well written for this film. I mean, again, there's got so much else going on, but they took the time to let us really care about Black Widow and Hawkeye and give them a lot to fight for and fight about. Like, everybody kind of has a good reason to be fighting. It is just so cohesive, and you know, it is super hard to do. They made the best film they possibly could. I guess there's not much else to say about it except, you know, it's really awesome. Go see it, and everybody's kind of already talked about Mark Ruffalo, so I don't have to say much. Is it Mark? Wait. Ruffalo. Whatever. I'm just gonna say Ruffalo because I can definitely remember his last name. I'm pretty sure it's Mark Ruffalo. Anyway, but I'm bad with names. I know Chris and Chris. I know Chris and Chris and get their names mixed up for the for Thor and Cap because they have the same first name, and so I accidentally switch them sometimes when talking about the actors, and I'm like, oops. But he does an outstanding job as the Hulk. As Bruce Banner. And like the Hulk, yeah, he doesn't exactly play the Hulk, he plays Bruce Banner, it's a little different. And yeah, I think everybody else has said more about that than I need to, so just kind of go look up their opinions on it. But from what I know about the character based on like TV series and stuff like that, which, you know, I haven't read the comics, but the way he portrays him fits in really well with the team dynamic because you needed somebody. People have mentioned that Edward Norton really wouldn't be as strong of a choice here, even though he did a fantastic job in the first film. I kind of agree. Like it just felt more like a team with the more understated, like the subtler performance that Ruffalo gave, because it just not everybody needs to be as big, and he's this kind of the small and devoted member of the team, despite the large green thing. But you know, so yeah, it's outstanding. I guess the last word I'll have on the matter is an observation that I did not make up. I've heard this from several other people. How could I? Because again, I haven't read the comics. But I've heard people say that the Avengers is not the best comic book movie in terms of it being a film, puff puff, you know, like a film, but like a translation of everything that people love about comic books into a movie, and that experience, I guess, of a really good comic into a movie, and that's what it feels like. So yeah, that would explain why. I mean, I loved the hell out of this, and it is absolutely the best movie it could possibly be. 3.5 out of 4, like that makes a bit of difference. Just go see it. It's just awesome and stuff.
Guys, I'm bringing the party to you.
You're in the shot. You have a tripartite cat war going on here. You don't even know. Yeah, you. Ew, spit! While we're at it, here's the other two monstrous beasts. Hello. I said two, there's the other one. She does not play nice with others. Hey, Captain McBitchy Pants. I'm showing off principally because I will not get to see them again after I move. They don't, contrary to popular belief, these are not my cats, so anytime you've seen them in a video, I hope you enjoyed seeing them. You're not going to see them again because I'm moving away and they don't belong to me. But, yes. Goodbye, sweet peas. Bye-bye. Bye, fat ass.